Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about NES emulation with Tetanes. If you haven't guessed already, it's an NES emulator written in Rust. I think the logo for this one really gives it away. So at the time of filming, version 0.14.0 is the latest and greatest update. This update has a number of bug fixes, some performance improvements, and even more. And speaking about even more, next up we're talking about Nintendo DS emulation on Android with MelonDS. And MelonDS got a whole bunch of bug fixes and even more. So at the time of filming, MelonDS Android version 2.0.0 is the latest and greatest update. It's worth pointing out, this is MelonDS Android, the OG version, not Sapphire Rodnite's fork that specializes in dual screen devices. Anyways, here with version 2.0.0, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I've just said a whole bunch of bug fixes. They've also added support for dual screen devices, thanks to Sapphire Rodnite. We just talked about that. On top of that, multiple improvements and additions to the Retro Achievements integration. They've added Rumble Pack support, allow DSiWare titles to be launched directly from the ROMs list, allow soft input to be hidden when a controller is connected, reduce audio latency, improve mic sensitivity, I don't know. Anyways, here, and a whole bunch more. If you are interested in learning more about this one, like everything we talk about, links are within the GitHub link in the bottom of the description below. I don't hide my sources. I am excited about this feature here, allowing soft input to be hidden when a controller is connected. And speaking about Nintendo DS emulation, next up we're talking about Nintendo DS emulation on the PS Vita with DSVita. And DSVita just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, the latest and greatest update is version 0.9.2. Taking a look here, there's some fixes, some improvements, and some brand new stuff. Fix screen layout settings not being persistent, minor CPU emulation speedup, add widescreen options, add more upscaling options, improve 3D rendering frame rate, and implement retro achievements, although it's very experimental. And speaking about experimental stuff, next up we're talking about a new-ish tool that's being advertised up on Twitter. This one is for Linux and it's called DOBBlocker, a systemd user DBD and age privacy tool for Arch Linux and systemd Home-D systems. It is a patch designed to help users remove or mask systemd user DBD, scrub the birth date field from systemd Home-D user records, and it's 100% free and open source. Next up, we're switching from open source to closed source, I believe, and switching from Linux to Mac here and talking about a brand new-ish emulation front end and launcher. This one is called NostagiApp, and they say here it's the ultimate retro gaming launcher for Mac. Experience your favorite classic games with a native macOS launcher built for Exodus, XCOM-VM, RetroArch, and 70+ retro gaming platforms. Now, it's worth pointing out here, I don't have a Mac, so I can't test this one out myself, but taking a look, it kind of looks like Launchbox a little bit. It reminds me of that, especially with the pricing model here. So there are two different platforms for this. The free tier, which is only good for 14 days, and then the lifetime license for €20. Now, I'm normally a little bit leery about lifetime licenses for a couple of different reasons. Number one, if the project goes south or just shuts down, then you're kind of left holding the bag. You paid for a lifetime license and, well, the life of the project could be short. Secondly, I've seen lifetime licenses be limited or change or be invalid after a period of time with certain things. So that seems to be a pretty hefty price here, but at the same time, I don't have a Mac. I can't test this one out. If you have experience with it, let me know your experiences with it in the comments below. At the very least here, there's a free trial. I wouldn't mind seeing like a free limited version of this, as limited feature version if they do have a paid version. A 14-day trial just... It's news, I'm talking about it, but at the same time, I've got some disagreements with this structure. So version 1 of NostagiApp was launched in February. It's still pretty fresh. With version 1.0.8.7.4, there's a sidebar UI refresh or UX refresh, a new synthwave theme, an in-app user guide, and a batch of state change doesn't redraw fixes caught in user reports. And speaking about fairly new stuff, next up here we're talking about Lootbox Gaming. Lootbox Gaming is an online video game store and fairly new. I mean, they're established in 2025. They weren't really on my radar here until they said something very interesting on Twitter regarding Switch 2 stuff. So they say Game Keycards doesn't deserve a formal post from us, so we wanted to let everyone know that our remaining Game Keycard titles are available at significant discounts. Expect 0 Game Keycard releases to be carried on our store going forward. Bye-bye physical licenses. Now, I don't know about you, but I was curious about that statement, so I went over to their website to take a look at what kind of discounts they had on Switch 2 Game Keycards. And it appears there are no discounts. It appears everything's either sold out or they took it offline here. Under Switch 2 games for Game Keycards, there's literally nothing. Now, it is worth pointing out this is not an endorsement or an advertisement for Lootbox Gaming, just talking about news, and you know my stance on Game Keycards from Nintendo. Kind of wish they didn't exist in the first place. And speaking about Nintendo stuff and sales you may or may not be able to get your hands on, next up here we're talking about first-party game sales that you don't normally see at this big of a discount. Anyways, it's being reported that Costco has Switch 2 games that are being checked out at $29.97. Now, if you take a look at the photo here, these aren't just small-time games. Metroid Prime 4, Pokemon Legends ZA, as well as Kirby Air Riders are all being marked at basically $30. If you've got a Switch 2 and you had those games on your radar and you live relatively close to a Costco, you may want to check this out. I've got no idea if this is going to be countrywide in the States. I've got no idea if this is going to be for a long period of time. And I've got no idea if this is just for possibly a few stores that maybe accidentally listed the price for this. But I don't think this is an accident. Either way here, these are some pretty good deals. And speaking about gaming handhelds, I mean, you can use the Switch 2 in handheld mode. It's kind of meant for that. You can use it docked as well. But we're talking about the handheld portion and gaming handhelds. I needed some sort of segue. Anyways, here, I think this is just the glimpse, a very small glimpse into the future here for Windows games on Android and Windows games on handheld devices. And this is really, really exciting for me. Anyways, here, this is right up my alley. Who knows? Maybe it's up yours. Let me know your thoughts. Listen to this headline up on retrohandhelds.gg. Rocknix now turns your Android handheld into a mini Steam Deck. Rocknix now supports Steam on Android. So check out this paragraph here and feel free to check out the article for more details on the matter. The Rocknix team announced that Steam is now officially supported, with the firmware now allowing you to run native Linux games as well as Windows games through Proton. Currently, this is available on Qualcomm-based handhelds, which include everything from the Retroid Pocket 6 to the AYN Thor and more. Taking a look from AYN, it's the Odin 2, Odin 2 Mini, Odin 2 Portal, and Thor. From Ioneo, the Pocket Ace, Pocket DMG, Pocket DS, Pocket Evo, Pocket S2K, and Pocket S2. From Retroid, the Pocket 5, Pocket 6, Pocket Flip 2. From Conquer, the Pocket Fit G3 Gen 3. I mean, this is a really good start. Now, it's worth pointing out here, although if you watch my channel, you probably know exactly what I'm about to say. Temper your expectations. Don't expect the world out of this. Don't expect this to be perfect. Don't expect to run like AAA performance-heavy games on an Android device flawlessly. This is still super early on. Lighter titles, maybe, but there may be some huge issues with lighter titles as well. It's going to be really hit and miss in terms of what games work and what don't, and what work without issues and what work with issues. That being said, everything is still very early on, but this is very exciting overall. I really think there's a really bright future for Windows and Linux games on Android through Steam and through all of this compatibility stuff. And speaking about exciting stuff, well, I guess it depends on what your version of exciting is and whether or not you like this kind of tech. Next up, we're talking about DJI microphones, and it appears there's a brand new Mic Mini 2 on the way and in a bunch of different colors. I'll click refresh here so you can see that again, but it seems it's available in like 4 or 5 different colors here, and we're going to know more on April 28th. Now, for those wondering, I am currently a big fan of DJI wireless mics. I mean, I use them traveling and camping. This is the exact mic I use right here, the DJI Mic 2. In comparison with a lot of other microphones, I think DJI does a good job of not making them sound hollow. I think they sound pretty darn full, and possibly full to a fault. So I receive a lot of complaints on this one that the bass is too heavy. turning on the low cut filter, and it's still too heavy for some people. Still get complaints. That's a story for another day. But anyways, here from a price to performance ratio, I think these are super hard to beat. I mean, the DJI Mic Mini here for 2 of them and a receiver for like an Android device or maybe an iPhone or something is $45 overall. Like, that's a huge deal. Now, on top of that, the DJI Mic 2 is on sale right now for $59. The big difference between the Mic 2 and the Mic Mini, aside from the size here, is that the Mic 2 does have a port for like a lav mic if you just wanted to use this as a transmitter and use the lav mic instead. But that being said, if you were looking at one of these, you'd probably have to pick up a transmitter or a receiver as well, which jacks up the price significantly. Taking a look on Amazon here, it's $129. In my opinion, this is the deal to get if you're looking for wireless microphones. $45 for 2 wireless mics that are pretty damn good, and also the receiver here is a great deal. I don't even know if it'll be worth upgrading if you were thinking about the colorway here for the DJI Mic Mini 2, I think this is. If it's just the Mic Mini, then yeah, just go for the cheaper model. I'm going to try to stop rambling about this, but the last thing I want to point out here is you may not even see these colors. So DJI might not like me saying this, but this isn't a paid advertisement or anything. I'm talking about the news and interjecting my opinion here. When I use these mics, I use them on the inside of the shirt, and I do that to have further wind protection because the shirt acts as a little bit of a filter. And all you end up seeing normally is just the little magnet. So that being said, I don't necessarily think the color matters. I mean, this could be screaming neon pink and yellow and green and all of that, and I really wouldn't care because it goes on the inside of the shirt. So all that factored in here. If you care about mics, if they're up your alley, let me know. If you don't care, you don't care here. But I think this is worth highlighting, that I believe this is an absolutely fantastic deal. And speaking about deals, but shifting from microphones to gaming controllers, probably something you're a little bit more interested in. Next up here, we're talking about GameSir, and GameSir has announced that the Pocket Taco is now available on Amazon. Now, I don't know about you, but a controller like this may be up my alley and it might be up yours, but let me know your thoughts on these things. I mean, Retro Game Core has reviewed them, Tech Dweeb has reviewed them, there's been a lot of reviews out there. And the price right now is, well, it seems pretty attractive. $35 overall, currently on sale for this early launch. And the Pocket Taco seemingly is a hit with a lot of people. I don't have one. I haven't tested one out yet, and I don't necessarily know if I will. But at the same time here, I mean, the size and convenience and form factor may be worth giving a shot. Next up, we're switching from arguably exciting news to arguably not very exciting news. And I don't think this news is going to be received well at all if it turns out to be true. It's worth noting right now, it's just a rumor. I haven't seen any confirmation that it may or may not be true just yet. It may just be some BS out there, but at the same time, well, it's starting to make headlines. Listen to this up on Insider Gaming. Xbox's rumored first-party Game Pass tier could cap your cloud gaming allowance. Now again, it's worth pointing out here that this is currently just a rumor, but sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire, and arguably a precedent has already been set with NVIDIA. I mean, we talked about that a while back when NVIDIA introduced the gaming timing caps, monthly gaming timing caps for some of their tiers. Anyways here, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Xbox go down this avenue. Arguably, they need to really increase profitability, and this may be something they try to do to either cut costs or maybe push people towards higher tiers. Who knows? Do I agree with it? No. Do I even like cloud gaming? At this point, no. So at this point in time, I would say even a rumor like this pushes me further away from cloud gaming, but let me know your thoughts. Next up, we're switching from cloud and digital to physical and talking about the upcoming NeoGeo AES Plus. Now, we talked about this console in a previous video. I was very excited and still am very excited about the direction NeoGeo is taking here. Anyways, there could be one big flaw, but we're going to have to wait and see on this one, and hopefully it's not a flaw. Listen to this tweet here from Matt. So Matt says, the new NeoGeo console ASIC appears to be based off the work of Vertec and Jotago's code. Vertec's latest tweet hinting that he is under NDA, and then there is this screenshot taken from a Discord. This console should be really good if this is the case. So it's not necessarily FPGA, but at the same time here, this is kind of good for the project and also a little bit worrying. So Pramod says here, no, the opposite. This means this is basically the Mr. Core, but instead of having the design on one FPGA, you break it up into multiple ASICs. It's a bait and switch, especially after the marketing page says otherwise. So Matt responds here and says, gotcha. Still, it's good to know the code is based on something of decently high quality and accuracy. Perhaps they can improve things further going to ASIC. And Pramod responds with something very concerning. ASIC is a hardwired configuration. FPGA can be dynamically reconfigured. So if the solution is based on this, it means you can't update it. So if a mistake is made, that's pretty much it. So I don't know about you here, but now I am cautious about the upcoming NeoGeo AES Plus, and I'm hoping it turns out to be great, but at the same time here, if I'm buying it with my own money, I'm no longer pre-ordering it. I'm waiting to see the reviews that come out, see if it's any good, see how it stacks up against the original, and see how it plays overall. If I'm spending my own money on this one, I don't want to be the guinea pig testing this out for the first time. And as a YouTuber, you may say, that's kind of counterproductive. Wouldn't you want to get your hands on one of these first? If they send one, yes. If they don't, I don't want to spend money on it and be the guinea pig. If they send one and it's not great, I can say it's not great and just flat out say it. But at the same time here, I mean, this is a really risky endeavor in my opinion here based on what I'm currently seeing. Who knows? Maybe it turns out great. Maybe it's amazing. Maybe I'm just being overly cautious for no reason at all. But I am curious to hear your thoughts on the matter. And speaking about hearing your thoughts, next up here, we're talking about PlayStation 4 emulation. Not PS3 emulation today, but PS4 emulation with ShadPS4. And ShadPS4 developers appear to be cooking up something pretty tasty. Look at this tweet here. They say someone's cooking. First work in progress success from ShadNet, simulated PSN server. Now we talk about ShadPS4 quite a bit on this channel, and if the developers keep cooking like this, I mean, maybe we end up talking about them as much as our PCS3. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But anyways here, I think this is really good for the future of ShadPS4. And speaking about really good, as in really good pricing, next up here we're talking about Legend of Keepers on Steam. This game is currently 100% free on Steam, so if you're interested in maybe adding a game to your backlog that you may never get to because your backlog is always growing and you always play the same stupid games all the time, like me. Anyways here, you might be like me on this one and you may add this to your backlog and maybe check it out at a future date because you forgot you had it. Great price, 100% free. And speaking about stuff you may forget about or may have forgotten about, next up here, or last up here, we're talking about PlayStation 2 emulation with PCSX2. And this, in my opinion, is a really handy feature you may or may not have forgotten that exists within the emulator. We talked about it when it released. Anyways here, this is just a friendly reminder. Did you know PCSX2 has a built-in feature to create game shortcuts? It lets you generate game shortcuts directly from the app, no manual setup required. Plus, a recent update now lets you add the game icon as well. These quality of life improvements should help with organizing your game library. If you forgot about this, hopefully now you remember, and let me know if you utilize this feature and if you find it useful. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.